diesel vehicle ban in Delhi will affect Mahindra and Mahindra the most. In fact, the company has only diesel vehicles in its passenger portfolio. Here's Pawan Goenka of M&M addressing the media over a conference call.
Delhi will also improve. So it's obviously a ridiculous thing to do to say that ban construction, but I'm just making a point. Now, over the years and more so lately, Delhi has diesel fuel or diesel vehicles have become a favorite whipping boy in our country. And anything that I say in this call or otherwise will be seen as defensive, and there are many who will pound on me for defending diesel vehicles because diesel vehicles are today seen as the biggest villain that we have in our country. Having said that, I'm an engineer, and as an engineer, I only understand scientific data and understand cost-benefit analysis, and cannot just be swayed by directional, unquantified statements. And therefore, what I would like to do is put some facts in front of you, and nothing that I'm saying is brand new. They have been talked about in bits and pieces over the last couple of years. But I just want to put some facts in front of you, and then let you be the judge on whether the decision to ban registration of diesel vehicles starting immediately is a justified decision. So first of all, I would like to say that I believe that all the hard work that has been done by our engineers and scientists in the last 15 years to make our vehicles cleaner has been kind of thrown out of the window by just one order given by NGT. To put it in perspective, in the last 15 years, PM 2.5, specifically PM 2.5, has come down by 82% and NOx by 51%. And in going from BS4 to BS5, PM will come down by another 80%, and NOx will come down by another 36%.
Sir, can you go a little slow?
Okay. Yeah. So in the last 15 years, PM has come down by 82%, and NOx by 51%. In the vehicles from pre-BS2 to vehicles in BS4. And then when we go from BS4 to BS5, PM will come down another 80% from the current level, the BS4 level, and NOx will come down by another 36% from the BS4 level. Now, the fact is that BS5 implementation has been delayed by almost 3 years from the original plan that we had, and this had happened because of late introduction of BS4 fuel throughout the country. BS4 should have come by 2014 as per the original plan throughout the country, and BS5 should be coming just about now as per the original plan, which has been delayed by 3 years because the BS4 fuel could not be made available throughout the country in that time frame. Now, if I go back to 1999, in 1999, some of you will recall that there was an application made to the Honorable Supreme Court to ban diesel vehicles in Delhi. And that time, the Honorable Court had made a decision, given a decision, that is very clear, that says that we need to implement emission norms and not look at a fuel, diesel or petrol, right? And therefore, the court had said that BS2 emission norms should be implemented immediately for both diesel and petrol vehicles. So in my way of thinking, therefore, the question of differentiating between diesel and petrol based on age or anything else was kind of settled by Honorable Supreme Court in 1999. And what one had done since then is make the emission norms tighter, and that is done both for diesel and petrol fuel. And therefore, I do not know why, once again, diesel is being looked at as the culprit, even though the vehicles that we're selling today are meeting all the emission norms that have been prescribed by the government of India. Of course, we should make the norms tighter, which is happening. That's being worked upon, and we will keep doing that. I also want to make a point that even though it's not a debate on petrol versus CNG versus diesel, but the fact is that while for particulate matters, for PM, diesel is the worst of the three. For NOx, CNG is worse, and for CO emission, petrol is the worst. So therefore, every fuel has some impact on the air quality. And if you want to take it to an extreme, one could say, why not ban all the fossil fuel vehicles and only have electric vehicles in Delhi from tomorrow? That will clean the air very quickly. I just want to go back to the report that has been published by IIT Kanpur, which was something that was commissioned by government of Delhi. The report is not yet officially available, but from publications that we have seen in a leading newspaper, it appears that as per that report, IIT Kanpur report, and this has just come out, passenger vehicles contribute only 4% of PM in Delhi. And out of this 4%, as per our calculation, 85% is coming from pre-BS4 vehicles. That means BS4 vehicles are contributing only 0.5% the total PM 2.5 load in Delhi. Now, is that a sufficient reason to ban new diesel vehicles? I don't know. You be the judge. There is also a cascading effect that will come from BS5 and BS6. We have talked about that earlier. And therefore, once we have a ban on BS4 vehicles, and if we continue with the older vehicles, in fact, air quality gets worse. The fact is that for every 5 BS4 vehicles that come on the roads, if one pre-2000 vehicle is removed from the road, we are PM neutral. That's the data. It's a published data. It's nothing that I'm making up. So for every 5 BS4 vehicle, one pre-BS2 vehicle has to be removed from the road to make it PM neutral. We have also seen some report, not proven with sort of long-term data, that on when the diesel vehicle population on the roads in Delhi is low, there is no difference that comes on the smog in Delhi. So I still come back to the same question, that when a product is meeting all the law of the land, how can it be banned overnight? I find it a little bit hard to justify in my mind. One other point that is very important, I think often we tend to forget this point. In COP21, COP21, our Honorable Prime Minister has made a strong appeal about climate justice, and India has committed to 33% reduction in carbon emission by 2030. Now we all know, and this is again well established, that the diesel vehicles are 20% more efficient when it comes to CO2 emissions. So are we going to completely ignore that aspect of diesel vehicles when climate justice is our stated objective, as stated by our Honorable Prime Minister? So I guess what I want to just sort of summarize is that yes, we have an air quality problem in India, that there's no doubt about, in Delhi specifically. Industry has to work with the regulators and the authorities to help solve the problem, and we have worked. We have worked for the last 15 years. We've been working with the government and regulators to aggressively reduce emissions in our vehicle. But I find it somewhat amazing that the whole blame today is coming on diesel vehicles, and they are sort of made culprit for everything that is going wrong to the environment. I think a consultation will find a solution. The solution has to be done in a manner that we take in consideration all aspects, and not just the air quality in Delhi, and not single out one villain, which right now happens to diesel vehicle. Again, I know that there are many who will disagree with whatever I have said here in the last 5 minutes, because any argument right now for diesel is not an argument that anybody is willing to listen to. But these are the facts. No numbers I have made up. Numbers are in front of you, and you be the judge whether it is the right thing to do to suddenly ban diesel vehicles in Delhi and create problem for not just for the industry, but also for many consumers who are currently in the process of buying a vehicle. So I stop here. I will take clarification questions, because I know that I have said quite a bit in the last 5 minutes. So if there are any clarification questions that any of you have in what I have said, I'll do those first.
Swati Khandelwal here from Bloomberg TV. So, when you talk about this bit on diesel becoming a culprit, it's actually not new. Each time there's a problem about emission, first thing that everyone talks about or blames is diesel. We've seen it even in the past, where it settles down over a period of time. Now, what you've said, of course, are the facts in front of you. But, sir, what is it that is so difficult for the government to take or understand the fact that you're telling or talking to us? You have had consultations earlier. Why is there a resistance from their end to accept them, number one? Number two, in this period where we are seeing this as obviously it's an industry problem, but you as M&M, how are you dealing with this problem, or how will you deal with it? Because we've heard you talk about your own petrol engines that could be used because you also make petrol engines to ensure that your sales don't get impacted. So there are two questions in this.
I would like to, for the time being, leave Mahindra problem aside and talk about the justice done or not done, and talk about industry impact and consumer impact, and then we will come back to Mahindra if time still permits. So let me first say that in this whole NGT debate, there has been no consultation, to the best of my knowledge, with the industry in a formal manner. There may have been some manufacturers who have talked to NGT. I do not know that, but as far as I'm aware, there is no consultation that has happened with SIAM in any formal manner. So industry views have not been formally incorporated. Perhaps they have looked at data published before, but not formally incorporated. The debate for diesel, and that's what I said, the debate started not today, but in 1999.
Exactly.
When Supreme Court an application was filed to ban diesel. And again, that time Supreme Court went through everything that was available and made a clear verdict that there should not be any distinction between diesel or petrol. Both fuels have to meet BS2 emission norms, and that's it. And therefore, to me, as I said earlier, the diesel vehicle has a certain negative impact on some pollutants. Petrol has negative impact on other pollutants. CNG has negative impact on other pollutants. And therefore, just to focus on one aspect becomes unfair. But what is really disturbing me, Swati, and this is where my engineer's mind sort of starts getting really worried, that by stopping BS4 diesel vehicles, what problem are we solving? The data, if you just do very quick calculations, as I have sort of very quickly walked you through, will tell you that only 0.5% of PM 2.5 emission comes from BS4 diesel vehicles, right? If BS4 diesel vehicles continued, then clearly some of the older vehicles will go off the road. And once the older vehicle goes off the road, it's a ratio of 5 to 1. One old vehicle going off the road emission from 5 new diesel vehicles. So are we really solving a problem by stopping registration of BS4 diesel vehicles? I'm not so sure.
Right. Dr. Goenka, this is Ronit Rai. So if I could, basically my question is two parts, Dr. Goenka, because one is that, the facts that you put out on the table are well taken. Then the question really is, why is diesel still getting vilified? Tell me honestly, sir, has there been a sort of inability on the part of the auto sector to really sort of put across the point about all these stats and statistics that you've given us?
Yeah, I think to an extent, that the industry perhaps has taken a view that facts speak for themselves, and we don't have to do any significant marketing of the facts. Perhaps we are wrong. We need to shout at the rooftop what the facts are, and these numbers are not something that came out today. These numbers have been around for quite some time. Many times government themselves have done a study to understand the proportion of contribution to emission. And therefore it should not come as a surprise to anyone. And perhaps industry has miscalculated that
the perception that has been created against diesel.
Right.
Mr. Goenka, Dr. Goenka, one more question. I mean, as being the past president of SIAM, sir, is the auto sector now looking at seeking any sort of legal opinion now to basically overturn or whatever, challenge this decision? Because we know even on the 15th of December, the Supreme Court will also be taking up a plea which is largely similar, which is banning of diesel vehicles. So will you be seeking any legal opinion, sir?
So as you know, Ramaj, first of all, before I answer that question, there is a very strong anti-diesel lobby in India. That is very well known, right? Like for anything else, I mean, there are lobbies for lots of things. There's an anti-diesel lobby in India. In 1999 was the first time when a very serious attempt was made to ban diesel. At that time, SIAM had taken a very aggressive step to bring out the virtues of diesel in front of everybody, including the that diesel is 20% more CO2 efficient than petrol fuel. And we thought that debate was over at that point of time. Then the debate came back after a few years about diesel being subsidized, diesel being fuel of the rich, and so on and so forth. Once again, we showed a lot of data to prove that it is not that the diesel consumption is only going into luxury 50 lakh vehicles. Diesel is consumed by rural vehicles like Boleros and Sumos at that time. So even that debate was killed once and for all, we thought. And in fact, diesel was then made not controlled in terms of pricing. Now it's come back again because of the current really bad situation in Delhi, and I'm certainly not in any way trying to defend that Delhi doesn't have a problem. Delhi does have a problem, right? So it's come back again. But right now, when you look at BS4 data, with the kind of PM emission that we have with BS4 fuel, it really, to me, very difficult to ban older diesel vehicles and older petrol vehicles is very much justified. Whether it is 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, one can argue. But to ban older vehicles is very much justified because that's where you will get the bang for the buck when we talk about cleaning the air in Delhi. Right? If I could give you a little bit more data, sorry, I don't want to indent data too much, but if I could, I'll give you a little bit more data on how much of the current emission is coming from vehicles and newer vehicles, but I'll come back to that. So now the question is that should industry have a legal view on this? I don't know yet. IAM will meet and decide whether we should take a legal view on it. But we have respect for our judiciary system, obviously. We think NGT also is doing what they think is the right thing to do in their way of thinking. Our only appeal will be that NGT should look at the data and do the calculations like the one that I have presented to you. And this is again based on public level data, not something that I have pulled out. And then take a decision.